Isaiah 20, verse 3. Then the Lord said, just as my servant Isaiah has gone stripped and barefoot for 3 years as a sign and portent against Egypt and Cush, so the king of Assyria will lead away stripped and barefoot the Egyptian captives and Cushite exiles, young and old, with buttocks bared, to Egypt's shame. Those who trusted in Cush and boasted in Egypt will be dismayed and put to shame. In that day, the people who live on this coast will say, see what has happened to those we relied on, those we fled to for help and deliverance from the king of Assyria. How then can we escape? Let's look at some different interpretations. Let's look at the OGB, the Orthodox Jewish Bible. Verse 5, and they shall be afraid and ashamed of Cush, their expectation. Their expectation. So this is who they hoped in. And of Mitzrayim, their glory and boast. Why is that their glory and boast? What do you think? What do you see going on in counterfeit Christianity right now? Do you see them glorying and boasting in some false covenant and plan for salvation? Oh, Jesus just paid it all, and all we're doing is waiting for him to come back and get us. No mention of the covenant, no mention of us bearing our own cross, no mention of suffering with Christ, no mention of any of that. No, he's done it all for us. All we got to do is wait here. What's going to happen to those people? What is Jesus going to say? But Lord, didn't we prophesy in your name? Didn't we cast out demons in your name? Didn't we eat with you? Depart from me, evildoers. I never knew you. He does not know them, and they do not know him. And they shall be afraid and ashamed of Cush, their expectation, and of Mitzrayim, their Tiferet, their glory and boast. Paul says he boasts in Christ, right? He boasts in his thorn. They're boasting in something else, something that is false. It is the expectation, the hope of their hearts that's coming out in their right hand, their deeds, their forehead, their thoughts, and what they speak. And the inhabitants of this coast shall say in that day, Hinei, such is our expectation, where we fled for Ezra, help, to be delivered from Melech Ashur. And how shall we escape? Such is our expectation, where we fled for help, to be delivered. And how shall we escape? This is what we've been doing all this time. We've been waiting. We've been resting on our laurels. Because the false prophets and false teachers told us what? Told us, oh, you're just here to rest. God just wants you to rest. Never mind what rest means. Rest in him. Oh, God just wants you to live your best life. He just wants you to be joyful. Never mind what joy of the Lord actually means. And so they'll perish with the lie. They'll perish with the delusion that they're handed over to and all that that entails. They will bear in the curses of Babylon the Great and the prostitutes that bore out of her that preach these lies. And what will those worthless shepherds do in that day? What will they do in that day when people are saying, well, what's the word of the Lord? What's the word? What's the word? I mean, don't you think they're going to come in desperation? What's the word of the Lord? What's he going to do next? I don't know what you're talking about. I've been a farmer my whole life. I'm just a farmer. I've been a farmer my whole life. Liars. Liars. That's the majority of those who have set themselves up as teachers. I mean, in fact, that's of all who've set themselves up as teachers. I didn't set myself up as a teacher. You think I chose to do this for free? You think I chose to let go of my careers, to reduce myself to nothing, to be attacked and do this for free? No, God brought me here. You think I speak a message out of my own brilliance? No. This is not my intellect. This is not my brilliance. This has nothing to do with me. The only thing that is to my credit is that I'm doing my duty, and that's not much to my credit, because that's what's just required of all of us. I've done my duty to be used by him, and if I continue to do that to the end, then I will be saved. Not I'm already saved. If I do this to the end, if I endure to the end, then I will be saved. Just like you call people a homeowner, but really, are we homeowners or does the bank own us? Well, as long as I continue to pay my mortgage, then I am tentatively a homeowner until the day I pay it off. Then I've received it. And until you fulfill your covenant, then you can receive what Jesus paid in full. If there's a conflict in language in the Bible, You're going to have to figure out why that is, because God's not confused. He's not a man that he should lie. Something else is going on. You're missing something. King James Version, verse 5. And they shall be afraid and ashamed of Ethiopia, their expectation, and of Egypt, their glory. And the inhabitants of this isle shall say in that day, Behold, such is our expectation, whither we flee for help, to be delivered from the king of Assyria. And how shall we escape? What an incredible and profound lie that people have believed, that they're holding tightly to in counterfeit Christianity. There's no end to the perversions and distortions of what God has said, even though, from what I can see, he was pretty clear. But these are hearts that come to destroy. They're hearts that come to distort and pervert. It will not be to their credit. Setting themselves up as teachers, deluding themselves into thinking that they're speaking the word of the Lord, and they don't bring his children to him. They don't even know how to bring themselves to him because they've rejected the truth that would have saved them. As we are moving along here at this point in history, I'm starting to become very, very aware of the long-suffering patience that is about to come to an end for certain people as this fourth trumpet is getting ready to blow. And I feel outrage, and I feel sadness and sorrow, and I feel indignation and gratitude and trembling. I feel the need to draw in even closer to make sure that I am one of the ones, to not disqualify myself after I speak with you, as Paul said. And I encourage all of you to do the same. Return to him. Make sure that you're in him. Make sure that you've not deluded yourself, that you're bearing the fruit of one who is truly in him. I feel keenly aware of all of the sacrifice that I have extended, that I have poured out in my own life in order to harvest people in, and all of the many ways that people just reject the message. Like, they hear it with joy and see all of the things that God is doing in their life, and the majority of them can't be bothered to do the work, cannot be bothered to show up in the ways that God has said you need to show up to fulfill that covenant. And then I look at those who are actually doing the work, who are low, who are grieving, who are, going through all of this. And I think about the people that come around and say, oh, I'd rather meet in person, or act like God's people are somehow pathetic and too lowly and not joyful enough for them. And I think, oh boy, what would God's response be to that? What would his response be to someone who prays and wants to know truth, wants deception to come out of them, wants to know what his church is, wants to know how to heal? He gives them that gift and they spit on it like that. How would God respond to that? To those who speak ill of his children, to those who mock them and persecute and lie and attempt to deceive and dissuade them from the truth. What will God's response be to that? We're about to find out. Very soon, that fourth trumpet will blow. And I hope that you'll think about what happened leading up to. Just reflect for a moment, those of you who've been listening to the channel for a while and watching what's going on. When I tell you that those trumpets are blowing, what led up to the third trumpet blowing, and what have you seen between then and now? Have you seen an increase in wickedness? Have you seen an increase in hardening of hearts? Has God sent anything in the physical to confirm for you that that is indeed what he's doing? And as we've been building up to this fourth trumpet, has he spoken to you at all about what he's doing right now? Because I know that he's been speaking to those who are his about what he's doing. He has been showing, he has been revealing. So if you're not seeing that, if you're not hearing that, you need to pray that you do. Take a moment to look back and look at the things that he's done so that you can understand his ways, so that you can glorify him, and so that you can acknowledge what he's doing right now. Thank you for listening. Please discern this message with God.